Hello, everyone out there, all my fantasy football friends. My name is Tony Stoll, Stosh X on Sleeper and on YouTube, on Discord, on all my other video games I play. This is my first video for fantasy football content. Today we're going to be going through some news. We're going to go through some draft strategy, and it should be a pretty good one. I'm pretty new to the streaming software, so if the sound quality or the video quality kind of dips a little bit, then please bear with me. I'm sure it'll get better over time. Thanks for joining me today. I'm really excited to make this video. I just wanted to go over some of the fun news and notes from around the league here. To start us off, so firstly we had Carson Wentz got traded today for about a third round pick from the Washington Commanders. My personal take on this is I think Wentz has been a little overhated on by most of the community. I think this guy hasn't been that bad. By all means, I mean he's looked pretty ugly on the field, but for fantasy football's sake, he's he's been pretty okay a lot of the time. Let's take a look at him. I'm gonna bring up Carson Wentz's stats here in one of my leagues. This is a guy who only threw 9 interceptions last year. I'm sorry, 7 interceptions last year. That's not bad. I mean, as you can see right here, quarterback 14 in PPR. You could get him in like the 12th round of your Superflex startup. 3,500 passing yards, 27 touchdowns. And it's not bad. I mean, he hasn't even his last 3 seasons he hasn't finished any lower than a quarterback two, even only playing 12 games in 2020. He's still got that rushing upside. Um, yeah, I don't know. I think it's an upgrade at quarterback from Taylor Heineke for the Redskins players. Excuse me, for the Commanders players. I'm not sure what the Colts are going to do, but yeah, the Washington side of this, I think this is great for Terry McLaurin. I think this is good for Antonio Gibson. I think this is good for all the Washington skill position players. I'm sure the fans of the team are not super happy about it, but I think you could do a lot worse than Carson Wentz. If you were to ask me who I would rather have quarterbacking my professional football team, Carson Wentz or Jimmy Garoppolo, I might go Jimmy G, but it's really close. And this guy's really athletic. He's got the draft capital. He's got a lot of upside. He's got a lot of downside too. Extremely volatile player. If I had to label Carson Wentz one thing, it would be very, very volatile. Um, I'm not sure what the Colts are going to do at quarterback. I think they'll be in that Jimmy Garoppolo race. They don't have a first round pick, so one of those second round rookie QBs we're talking about, like maybe a Carson Strong or a Desmond Ritter, I think could find their way to Indianapolis this season. Um, I wouldn't be afraid to take a flyer on Carson Wentz in like 10th round. As a QB3 on your team, yeah, why not? I mean, if he has a couple good games, you could flip him for a lot more than what you paid for him in your league, and you might be able to get some decent starts out of him. A big footnote that I have on Carson Wentz right now is he's very reckless and very injury prone, and the Washington Commanders have probably the worst kept field in the entire league. Their grounds crew needs to work on their business because the Commanders' field sucks. So with that in mind, I think Wentz is worth a flyer, but I don't expect him to have a lot of longevity. If he started more than 10 or 12 games this season, I would actually be pretty surprised. But when he goes down, he'll probably be a top 15, top 20 option when he takes that injury. And I do expect him to take an injury this season. You hate putting that on players. I'm not trying to curse him, but that's where I'm at with Carson Wentz. Um, Other good notes. Obviously, Russell Wilson was traded yesterday. That's huge, huge news. I love Russ. Love him to death. He's one of my favorite quarterbacks to watch in the league. I love how he's undersized, how he had bad draft capital, and still has been able to come out there and win a Super Bowl and really done what he's done. Let's bring up Russell Wilson here. We can look at his stats. When I started playing fantasy football in 2019 startup season was my first year of Dynasty. I've been playing fantasy since I was 15, 16 years old. I'm 32 years old right now. But Russell was pretty regularly a first round startup pick. I mean, early second, late first of a Superflex startup, and for good reason. I mean, he was coming off these 9-1-9 seasons. 2019, he was number 3 quarterback. Um, Yeah, I've been seeing him slip into like the third or the fourth round of a lot of startups right now, and I think that's going to change now that he's in Denver. But this number 16 quarterback finish last year, I mean, just look at this list. These finishes: 8, 3, 3, 9, 1, 9, 3, 6. I mean, look at this turn. Like he's only thrown double-digit turnovers 3 times. Um, over 30 touchdown passes in one, two, three, four, 5 of his professional seasons. We know the rushing upside's there. Uh, he's one of the best leaders in the NFL. I know there was a report that he's not a good leader. I don't buy that for a second. I think this guy is an absolute leader of men out there. Russell Wilson is someone you want leading your franchise and someone who could easily take your team to a Super Bowl. If you have Super Bowl aspirations, you want Russell Wilson as your quarterback. But this number 16 PPR finish last year as a fantasy quarterback, yeah, that's an outlier. I mean, you just look at these numbers and you can see that that's an outlier. I absolutely expect Russell to be a QB1 next season. I mean, maybe he's the 9, maybe he's the 3. He might even be the number 1 overall quarterback, honestly. I probably not going to be the case, but those games in the AFC West against all those other quarterbacks, Herbert, Mahomes, Carr, those are all going to be shootout games. Can't say any of those teams are playing really great defense right now. The Chargers may be the best of them, but I think you're going to see a lot of 35 to 38 outcomes in your AFC West matchups this year. Russell's gonna Russell's gonna cook. Um, I would be perfectly comfortable spending a late second round startup pick on Russell Wilson, especially if you're just trying to get a two quarterback start, or maybe you're in one of those top 3 picks and you land Jonathan Taylor and you're looking for that quarterback on the turnaround in the late second. Russell Wilson, yeah, definitely put him on my team. I think a big question you have to ask yourself with him right now is Russ, Trey Lance, Trevor Lawrence, Matthew Stafford, and Rodgers, honestly, are all in that same boat. And you got to kind of go in and organize those guys for yourself and what you think they're all going to do. But I expect this early fourth round ADP of Russ's to rise precipitously after his trade. The winners and losers of the trade, I mean, obviously any pass catcher on the Denver side's a winner. Sutton and Judy, they take big jumps up. Sutton, I think he's an incredible talent. I really would like to see him stay healthy. He's had some real injury problems plague him for his whole career. I'm hoping this is the year he can stay healthy. But we look at Cortland Sutton. I mean, maybe it hasn't been that bad. It says he's started 16 and 17 games, but the production has not been there for the talent profile that this guy has. He's 6'4". I mean, I think this guy's a beast player. Hopefully Russell can unlock Cortland Sutton. Um, and Jerry Jeudy is the one I think who's a really big winner. I think Judy's going to see some real volume with Russ at the helm. I mean, Jeudy runs great routes. He's got great hands. He is he's one of my favorite wide receivers in the NFL. I loved Jerry Jeudy coming out. He's probably my favorite wide receiver in this class. I took him over CeeDee Lamb. Um, I don't know if that was not the right decision, and I don't stand by that. But I loved Jerry Jeudy coming out. I'm so happy Jeudy has a quarterback. I think we're gonna see a lot of fireworks. It's gonna be really fun to watch Jerry Jeudy and Russ hook up. Personally, I'm thinking Jeudy. I'm drafting a startup right now, so we'll use this as an example. But if we look here in our startup draft board, right here, 5th round ending, 6th round beginning, Deontay Johnson, DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, Devonta Smith, Chris Godwin. I mean, even Stephon Diggs might be able to throw in that category. Like I expect Jeudy to jump right up into this tier with these guys. I think Jeudy should catch 120 passes. I think a good comp for Jeudy is I look at Keenan Allen's stat line from last year. He was the PPR wide receiver 10 on 106 catches, 1,135 yards, and 6 touchdowns. I think Jeudy could easily replicate this stat line and be a top 12 option, a low end wide receiver 1 for your fantasy team. Jerry Jeudy, go get him. Go get Jerry Jeudy because he is worth it. As far as a draft pick directly that I think Judy's worth in this 2022 class, it's hard to say. I think he's right, got to be right there with the Londons and the Burks and the Garretts. I might want all those guys over him. Really hard to say. But I think the 3rd year bump is a real thing. Judy's going into that 3rd year bump right now, and I expect Jeudy to take a big step forward this coming season. I think he's a player you want on your dynasty team right now. Excuse me as I tab around. Sorry, like I said, first time doing these videos. Obviously, the losers is pretty much everyone that's left in Seattle. I think DK Metcalf should see at least a round or two drop in his ADP. I mean, he's currently a late third, early fourth round pick. I would see him drop to like the fifth round, if not more. Tyler Lockett is basically dead for fantasy purposes, for dynasty purposes. He's a little older, at 29 years old, and I've never thought Tyler Lockett was a special player personally. Obviously, he's produced. I mean, he's someone I've owned, and I've won championships with Tyler Lockett on my roster. But just as an NFL talent, I don't think it's there for him. He's fast, but everything good about Tyler Lockett just got traded to Denver, and that's Russell Wilson. Um, Big time loser, no Fant. I mean, I think most people would say he was trending downward before the trade. He's been looking a little slower. He's been less involved in the offense, and yeah, I don't see a clear path to big value for him. It could be a case of there's no one else to throw the ball to. It could be a case of familiarity of what is the presumed starter in Drew Lock, going to his boy, his Broncos former teammate and Fant. Yeah, I mean, there's a case to be made that this guy's going to see some volume, sure, but I expect the Seahawks, as they're currently constructed, to be one of the worst offenses in the league. Um, Probably a safe bet that they're not going to bring back Rashad Penny, considering they're going into a rebuild mode. I mean, when you trade Russ and you cut Bobby Wagner like they did, it's clearly a sign you're trying to rebuild. Clearly a sign you're trying to play for the future. You're trying to preserve cap space, and yeah, Fant's a red zone target certainly. But he's not even the number one red zone target on his team. I would say DK Metcalf is the number one red zone target, and I expect the Seahawks team to be in the red zone among the least amount in football this year. So if Fant finishes next season with one touchdown or fewer, it would not surprise me. And Fant is someone I don't really want a piece of anymore. Unfortunately, he's a player I did like at one time a whole lot, but just didn't pan out for him. Maybe as a stash, maybe he walks in free agency eventually. After this upcoming season, it'll be his fourth year. I can't remember if he was a first round pick or not. I don't think there's a fifth year option attached to him, but I don't remember. Um, but I could see him playing for the Seahawks for 1 year and then walking as a free agent and then maybe landing in a really good spot and maybe returning to value and maybe he's worth a stash for that. But Noah Fant is a big loser from the Russell Wilson trade without a doubt. A couple other little news notes I wanted to get through. The Kyler Murray situation has been on my mind lately. I think Kyler Murray is unfortunately looking at a potential holdout. I'm sure you've heard this before. I'm personally very scared for him. This guy could go play baseball. I mean, that's been brought up before. I don't think he would do that. Obviously, baseball's in a holdout right now. I'm sorry, a lockout right now. But yeah, that message, if you read it, and it wasn't that hard to read, guys. I saw a lot of Twitter posts that I'm not reading that whole paragraph of text. It's like, come on, you can read. It's not that hard, but I think it's important to read what that agent says. And I'm worried about Kyler Murray and him coming out and demanding a contract like that. Him scrubbing his social medias. That's not cool. Um, the fact that the GM and the coach each got mega extensions, I think through 2027, 5-year extensions for each of those two guys who have never won a playoff game. I think that only serves to sour the mood between Kyler Murray and his team. Like, hey, why are you extending those guys and not me? I'm the one who puts my body on the line. I could totally see that being a stance Kyler Murray takes. And then beyond all of that, all of the contract stuff, he's a small guy, man. I mean, Kyler got hurt. There's a reason that he might get hurt again. Um, I'm out on Kyler Murray. I play in 20 cash dynasty fantasy football leagues. Every single one of them is a Superflex league. All two quarterbacks start. And I had exactly one share of Kyler Murray entering the day. And just to show you guys, I'm not kidding around with you in my worries for Kyler Murray. I traded him off, and I'm going to show you the trade I made for him. In this 14-team league, about 12 hours ago earlier today, I traded Kyler Murray and Leonard Fournette away to get Joe Burrow. Yeah, I don't feel bad about this at all. We can look at their ADP. I think the draft I'm in does reflect their ADP pretty well. I mean, Burrow at 5, Kyler at 6. I think Kyler just ignore this Dalvin Cook thing here. Don't even worry about that. But I think Kyler usually goes in this area, this like 6 through 9 area. Maybe Lamar goes ahead of him in some drafts. Um, but yeah, he's right next to Burrow in ADP, and I don't think it's a hot take to say you'd rather have Joe Burrow on your fantasy team than Kyler Murray. I mean, I want the 6'4" guy who's just took his team to the Super Bowl over the kind of I don't know, immature, I guess is a nice way to put it, with Kyler Murray, who's also 5'10". Um, but I really like this trade. A lot of people would say this is a loss. You're just throwing away Fournette. I don't think so. I think if I'm wrong about Murray and he doesn't hold out, if he does get the extension, um, you know, I still have a quarterback I like more in Joe Burrow. And it cost me Fournette to get there, which is a little sad, but it's fine. I'm fine with that. And then if Kyler doesn't play, well then shoot, I just got rid of a grenade, and I have a massive, massive victory here on my hands with this trade. So your trade calculators, your analysis may say this is a bad trade on my part, but I actually love this trade. As far as pivoting away from Kyler Murray, and I was shopping him around in this league for the last couple of days, this is about as good as it gets to get off of Kyler Murray. I would say this is ideal. This would be an ideal situation to pivot from Kyler, um, is to pick up Joe Burrow and really not lose that much in Fournette. I mean, we're talking about a ninth or 10th round pick. Yeah, a very productive player, but someone who's probably changing teams and is pretty hard to project moving forward in Fournette. So that's where I'm at with Kyler Murray. I think you should sell him. Um, I think the prospects of his eventual holdout have been grossly underplayed to this point. Um, Another little piece of news I want to touch on is Calvin Ridley. Obviously, he's been the hot topic across my 20 Dynasty leagues entering his suspension. I owned 2 shares of Calvin Ridley 2 times. Both places I spent a good bit to get him in the lead into the 2021 season when he was going as like a late third round startup pick. So I see the talent in Calvin Ridley. I've loved this guy since he came out. I was drafting him in his second year in 2019, my first season. I was taking Kyler in a lot of different leagues. Um, but I'm sorry, Calvin. But I think you need to sell Calvin Ridley. I know everyone's saying hold him. You can't get crap for him. You can't get anything for him. But again, putting my money where my mouth is, I just sold Calvin Ridley for Terrence Marshall straight up, and I'm super satisfied with that. I can't say I'm stoked about it. I mean, it's sad to lose Calvin Ridley, but it is what it is. I think he's obviously not going to play at all in 2022. So if you're holding your breath on that, that change in the ruling, that appeal to the league, that would maybe make him eligible. Winning that appeal, I think, would make him eligible for 2023 at best, because right now his suspension is indefinite. And yeah, I mean, this is what I paid to get Ridley. I got Ridley and Mooney, and I gave up a 22 first, a 22 second, Michael Pittman, and Dwayne Eskridge in May of 2021. It's like I wanted Ridley. I liked him. I believed in him, and unfortunately, the bottom fell out. Um, I would say it's a 50-50 that Calvin Ridley never catches an NFL pass again. I mean, he's very talented, but we're not talking about a guy who's really set the world on fire. I mean, that's a pretty good rookie season, 60 catches, 10 touchdowns, wide receiver 22. I mean, obviously this 2020 season was awesome. 9 TDs, 90 catches, 1,300 yards. Like, that's great. But we're not talking about, Justin Jefferson here. We're not talking about Jamar Chase. We're not even talking about T. Higgins. I mean, Calvin Ridley. He does pack a lot of upside, but you're not going to see any of that upside until 2023 at best. At that point, he'll be a 28-year-old player who does not want to play for the Falcons anymore, and he's 2 years removed from having played an NFL game, and that's best case scenario. He plays in 2023. I could see a situation where he's getting a 2-year ban, and he's out for 22 and 23. In that case, just sell him. Sell him for whatever you can get. If someone's offering you their 302 rookie for Calvin Ridley, I'd probably take that. I would dump Ridley. I think in this situation, if you're a Ridley owner, this is a great time to look into your individual league settings and look and see what players are eligible to be put on your IR. Trying to bring it up on PC here. I'm not sure exactly how to look at that setting. I know you can look at it on mobile pretty easily, but if your IR will let you put suspended players on your IR, okay, it really becomes a lot easier of a keep because you can just stash them in the IR and it's no biggie. But if you're yeah, it doesn't even injured reserve slots 5. Yeah, it doesn't even say here. Gotta look on mobile. But if your IR does not allow suspended players, and you have a smaller bench, maybe a 10-player bench, then holding on to Calvin Ridley, if you're trying to be a competitive team, is just it's a bad bet. And I am unloading Calvin Ridley for whatever I can get. And again, put my money where my mouth is. I literally auctioned him off in this league. I put out a timer that I was going to sell Ridley in 3 hours, and I was going to sell him for the best offer I could get. And I got an offer of the 308. I got an offer of a bunch of waiver wire players like Le'Veon Bell and Colin Johnson, the Giants wide receiver, and then I got Terrence Marshall, and I took Marshall. Not that I believe in Marshall, but hey, I know for a fact Terrence Marshall will at least be playing in the NFL in 22 and most likely in 23 as well. Also, the Panthers, kind of dark horse, are I expect them to be very, very aggressive in pursuing Deshaun Watson. The Panthers are sitting out there, and they're going to be they'll probably be the most aggressive team to pursue a quarterback. The next big quarterback domino you see fall will probably be the Panthers making a play. And even if they don't land someone via trade, they have a really good draft pick, and I think they're the highest team, the highest picking team that really is really quarterback needy. So whoever they deem to be that quarterback one, Kenny Pickett, Malik Willis, Matt Corral, whoever it may be, I think you could see the Panthers going there. So a new quarterback's coming for the Panthers. DJ Moore hasn't signed an extension yet. Robbie Anderson might be traded. There's a path to the field for Marshall. Unfortunately, there is no path to the field for Calvin Ridley in 2022 and maybe in 2023 again. So I'm gonna tell you something that you probably haven't heard from a lot of other content, which is get off of Ridley because he is wasting your time. He is a roster clog, and he's doing nothing for you. I mean, if you're a hard rebuilder and you can get him for super cheap, or you already have him, sure, because it doesn't matter. You're not trying to win games anyway. But if you have any aspirations of being competitive or even productive struggling, then or even just maintaining the value of players in your team, honestly. Uh, if you're like me, I'm always trying to find a player who can gain value. I'm looking for someone who's going to make himself worth more in 12 months from the point I acquire him. Then I don't want Calvin Ridley on my roster. Those are big news points that I really wanted to touch on. Next thing I want to transition into is I want to talk about the Dynasty Toolkit. So the Dynasty Toolkit is just the way I look at all the different resources that we use to gather information when we play Dynasty Fantasy Football. I like to listen to Rage EQ. I listen to the Fantasy Footballers. I listen to Mason and the Fantasy Flock. Pro Football Focus does stuff. Dynasty Focus does stuff on YouTube. Colin Cowherd, I listen to his stuff. I don't think he's that smart or that interesting, but it's important to listen to guys even who you may not like what they have to say because you're just gathering information. It's important to just constantly be gathering information. I read most of the articles I could put up on Bleacher Report. I'm gathering information about football every single day, and what I like to think is you're putting it into a big melting pot of your brain. You're melting it down, and then you're making decisions based on all this information that you've gathered. So other good tools that you add to your toolkit are there's really two websites I wanted to share with you. I really like this one, Dynasty Ranker. Um, it's literally just dynastyranker.com. A lot of people know about this. I don't think it's going to be news to a lot of people, but this is a really good place to go and just look at how your leagues shape up. So I'm going to look at one last chance you right here, and these are all keep trade cut values that are assigned to the players. And then it just kind of organizes it. It adds up all your KTC values for all your quarterbacks, and then says this is your total quarterback group value, almost 22,000. And it does it for every position. So this is a pretty useful tool if you're looking to make a trade. Like let's say, like I have crappy wide receivers here. I'm ninth in wide receivers. I can look and say, hey, Cedron, you have the number one wide receiver group, almost 50,000 points. I mean, that's 13,000 ahead of than at wide receiver two. I mean, Jamar Chase, JJ, Cooper Kupp, CeeDee Lamb, you see it. Maybe Cedron is a person I would approach if I needed a wide receiver. And this tool, dynastyranker.com, can help you find trades. If you're out there looking for a running back, you can find, hey, who's got the number one running back group? That's the person who's most likely to part with one. You can also look and see, like Cedron here needs an RB. He's got the 10th rated RBs. You'll know what to offer that person based on these things. This is not gospel, but again, toolkit. I think this is an interesting tool to have in your toolkit. Another really sneaky way to use dynastyranker.com, I think a lot of people don't really realize this, is it searches based on your player gamer tag. So I could take and I could look up Mr. Cedron, that same guy, and I could see all the leagues he's in. Oh, I spelled his name wrong. I gotta remember how to spell his name. But you can go up and you can search a different player. You can search a different owner, excuse me, and you can see what players they own across their different leagues, and potentially make them an offer based off of that. So like I can see that Cedron here plays in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 leagues, and I could look at one of his other leagues, and looks like he's one of the bad teams in this one. Yeah, and he's got Jalen Hurts, Kirk Cousins, Austin Eckler, Darrell Henderson, AJ Brown. Clearly, he loves his receivers. He's got the number one receivers here. But hey, he's got Mark Andrews, and I own Mark Andrews in that one we looked at before. So I could assume Cedron likes Mark Andrews, and I can make him an offer that he might be interested in that's framed around Mark Andrews. I'm not going to do that because I want to keep Mark, but you can use this tool to do some homework on your league mates and find out what players they are interested in, and then make moves based on that. You're not starting cold when you approach someone for a trade. You're not just throwing a player out there at them. You could actually open with an offer that is a player you know they're interested in because you know they have that player rostered across different leagues. That's pretty sweet. I think a good way to use Dynasty Ranker. This is cool. It's a fun way to track what's going on. My one annoyance with Dynasty Ranker is it doesn't update very often. So you'll make a trade in your league, and then the ranker won't be reflected for a few weeks. But a really interesting tool there. Another tool I wanted to feature is Dynasty Assistant. Excuse me there. Dynasty Assistant is great because it compiles all of your ownership of all your players, and it will also compile who are free agents in all your leagues. So this is all the cash leagues I play in. I said 20. I am in 20. It's just the Dynasty Ranker doesn't. I'm sorry, Dynasty Assistant doesn't pull from ESPN where I have other leagues. But this will alert you to your shares of players, so I can go in here and I can look and I can see that I own 11 shares of Harrison Bryant, and I have 9 shares of Chase Claypool, 9 shares of Kellen Mond. Definitely cooling on Mond. I liked him last year because the hype around Cousins was leaving, and I actually like Kirk Cousins, but I believe the money would get the best of the Vikings and they would get off of him. And he was cheap. I mean, you can get Mond for like middle third. It's fine. So I threw a lot of darts at Mond. We'll see. I do not have the hopes I once did for Kellen Mond. He might be a wash, but it's fine. He was a taxi stash, so it's all good. Got a lot of Mitch Trubisky, but hey, Trubisky's a hot guy right now. Hot pickup. He's probably going to go and find himself at least competing for a starting gig. So what you can do is click on Trubisky, and you can see his status across all of your leagues, and you can see what players are free agents and maybe you want to pick up. So he's not a free agent in any of these leagues, but it would say like free agent right here, or it'll tell you who owns the player. And I think that's a pretty cool tool to be able to say, you know, when there's a hot free agent pickup, you want to know what leagues he's available in, and you don't want to manually go through and check all of your waiver wires. So as long as your leagues are uploaded into Dynasty Assistant, you could literally check all of the waiver wires across all your leagues with one stroke, and makes it really easy to manage your waivers in multiple leagues. You're still gonna have to go in and do the ad independently in those leagues, but check out Dynasty Ranker and DynastyAssistant.com if you haven't. I think both tools can be extremely helpful. This is another toolkit thing. NFLTradeRumors.com. I check this a couple times a day, usually on my lunch break at work, or commercials come on TV. Just pop in here, maybe read some notes. They do a couple editorials, I think, on Friday the guy who runs his website, will do an editorial and his write-up on opinions and stuff. But news flows through this bad boy constantly. And it's not, and they cover all the minutiae, man, all the little stuff. You can find out every single rookie that visited during the combine. Well, NFLTradeRumors.com will give you that information. So, pretty cool tool right here. So just a few little things, a few little non-sleeper resources I think are worth touching on. So the meat and potatoes of the video that I wanted to get into today are how I dynasty. I've been asked about how I trade, about how I do things, and we got a tag. But what I like to do across all my leagues is I like to take the long game approach. When I draft a startup anymore, I usually am not drafting a team that I think can be competitive in year one. It's very, very hard to sit down right next to 11 other guys who all want to draft the championship roster right now and think that you're going to do it. I mean, I have done it. I have won dynasty leagues in their first year, but it's difficult, and it's especially difficult if you don't have a good draft position. You want to be picking early. The top 4 draft seats in your league, assuming you're not using a third round reversal, if you're just using a straight snake, the top 4 picks, they have a distinct advantage over the other people in the league. It's just math. I'm not going to bring it up here right now. We'll probably get into it in another video, but you want to be picking as high as you can because you will be blatantly better. You have access to better players. I mean, plain and simple. The big reason is just the early third round is so much better than the late third round. I mean, look, I got Trey Lance over. Like, this round is opening with Trey Lance, and it's ending with Darren Waller and Mac Jones. I mean, this is a 2 tight end league. That's why you're seeing these tight ends that high. But there is a very clear break, in the middle of the third round. And the people who are eating are the guys who are picking in the top 4 seats because they get one of these elite quarterback or Jonathan Taylors, and then they get 2 bites at the apple of the top 30 coming around here. So I'm a big advocate of the third round reversal. But let's pretend we're not one of the lucky few who gets an early pick, and we're sitting in one of these back 8 seats. Well, we still want to be competitive if we can, or at least make a strong team, something we're happy with. We want to walk away and be happy with our squad at the end of the day. So the way I find to do that is I make a lot of trades. I traded off my first round pick here, and I traded off my third round pick here. Yeah, we'll get into that in a minute. We'll go through exactly what the trades are. We're not going to actually look at this league, but we'll look at a couple other startups I did. I've done 3 Superflex startups to completion since the Super Bowl finished. I've jumped in 3 new leagues, and I'm pretty happy with all of them. But every single one of them took a more long-term approach. I think this strategy that I use is very strong right now because what I like to do is acquire multiple future first-round picks. Throughout the draft process. I usually will end a startup draft with 3, 4, 5 of the next year's rookie first round picks. People are pretty willing to part with them because it's a year away. That little line of text at the bottom of your team, that little line down here that says boop-a-doop 2022 or 2023 first round pick, like, it doesn't do anything for you. It's not scoring you any points. So if you're someone who's trying to win, you want to convert that little line of text into an actual football player who can score 200 or 300 points for your roster. And I'm there to eat that up. When people are trying to sell, I'm trying to buy. This year in particular is a great year, though, because the 2023 class is loaded. I'm sure if you're listening to this video, you've heard that before. But the 2023s, I don't know all the players by name. I've looked that far into it, but I believe that there's 10 elite talents coming out. I mean, akin to the 2021 class, which we saw with Taylor and Burrow and Jefferson and Lamb and Swift, Dobbins and Gibson. All these guys, we're going to see another repeat of a class like that in 2023. So you want to be getting as many of those first round picks in that year as possible right now. In an established league, in a league that's 1 or 2 years old, very difficult to go get someone's first round pick away from them. That person, that owner who you're trying to talk to about a trade, they know what their team is, and if they don't feel great about their team, they're not going to trade their 23 first away. So it becomes very challenging. And then so it becomes the only people whose picks you can acquire are the better teams that will be finishing lower. So really the best time to acquire a future first, and we all want to be doing that, is in the startup draft, most specifically in the first 6 or 7 rounds of your startup draft. Um, if you're not on Sleeper and you play on different apps, Sleeper's the best because you can trade picks within the draft. I highly recommend you get on Sleeper because you can do some of the things that I am about to discuss. So my process is to keep about 1 or 2 picks in the top 3 rounds. I like to get a core running back or a core quarterback, sometimes both. Just a player I believe in, a player I like. I really like DeAndre Swift this year. I think this is a safe spot to get him at the 2.3. That's why I didn't trade this pick off. But yeah, you want to get like 1 or 2 cornerstone players. I do not recommend trading out of all of your top picks, but moving off your first, moving off your third, um, and still keeping 1 or 2 of them is pretty hot. But a big question I get asked a lot is, how do you know what to trade? What is a first round pick worth? How do you know when you're looking at a trade offer for your 107 or for your 110? How do I know if I'm getting good value for that or not? And I mean, obviously there's calculators out there, and I encourage you to use a calculator. I know a lot of other content creators kind of diss the calcs, but again, the melting pot, the toolkit, I think trade calculators are all a part of that. And it's going to give you more perspective. It's going to give you a good opinion. It's going to give you a feel for what the meta is around any trade you're considering to make. Absolutely the eye test. Your own 2 eyes are significantly more important than anything a calculator has to say. Yeah, like just because I'm winning by 15% margin in a calc does not mean I'm going to smash accept, and because I'm losing by 15 or 20% margin in a calc does not mean I'm necessarily going to decline the trade. My eyes are what matters the most. Um, I just want to make that very, very clear that no calculator should ever dictate your life, but they can provide good insight and they can help give you a guide. Just Google, pick calculator or trade calculator. Um, if you need one of those. But I recommend using a calc in your dynasty experience, because if you're not using one and the other people in your league are, it's really easy to be used, to be had, especially if you're not a dynasty geek like I am, who's in 20 leagues. If you're only playing in 2 or 3 dynasties and you're taking multiple months away where you're not really doing any research, it's hard to keep 300-400 players, and their rankings lined up in your brain. So to ensure that you're not getting, completely routed in a trade, it's good to just have a calculator that you trust. Maybe you like its rankings, and have multiple calculators. I usually use 2 or 3 or 4 to look at a trade. Yeah, but let's get into my overall strategy that I like to use. So we're gonna look at a startup that I recently drafted. I'm gonna bring up this draft board real quick here. Oop. This is balls deep for Jimbo. I don't know who Jimbo is. I don't know why we're getting balls deep in him. Feels weird, but it's 25 bucks to play in this league. Superflex, tight end premium, and here, this is me. This is my column. I did move off my 1, 2, and 3. I got really good value. I'm super stoked about this. And the purple, if you're not familiar with it, are kickers. Kickers represent rookie picks in our upcoming rookie draft for 2022. So the first kicker drafted off the board would be the rookie 101. The second kicker would be the rookie 102. This continues for 48 kickers to represent a 4-round rookie draft. So with this team, I have all the individual trades I made. I can literally go trade by trade here and talk about them. This is the team. This is what we're looking at in 23 picks. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 2023 first round picks. I've got 4 2023 second round picks. That's pretty awesome. We'll go look at the league itself. It's right here. Let's get another tab open. Probably take a few of these down. Kill that one, kill that one, kill that one. This is what we ended up with. Deshaun Watson, Keyshawn Vaughn, Bateman, Moore, Muth, Zach Wilson. I mean, not a lot of juice here, honestly, but we're not being competitive. This is a league where I said I am in hard rebuild mode. A big reason why I like to be in rebuild mode is because, yeah, you can acquire those firsties, and because my older leagues, my teams that are 2 or 3 years old, most of them are pretty competitive now. So all my competitiveness, my opportunity to win money, to win leagues, that's going to come from leagues where I've used this exact strategy, but that are now 1 or 2 years removed from the startup, where I'm really feasting on the fruits of my trades. So this is the rookie draft that's attached to it. Took a lot of kickers. Got the 103, 105, 106, 108. Got all these seconds. This is a reversal. I'm sorry, this is a snake. But I guess I could just show it right here. This is our. We have nothing on the team side. Bateman, Moore, Watson. Really not a lot here. Like maybe only 3 or 4 starters, honestly. But look at this. I mean, look at all this meat, baby. I love this. Um, the strategy I'm proposing is not one that is a multi-year build. I think it's a common misconception that just because you are loaded on draft picks, loaded on younger players, that you're taking the longer approach, that you're going to be bad for 2 or 3 or 4 seasons. I don't see that at all. Um, I think if you do this and you do it properly, it's a 1 year reload. It's a 1 year prep time, and then next season I'm going to have all of these players entering their second year, which will be great. And then I'm going to have these what is it, six? Yeah, 6 first round picks and 4 second round picks also added to my team. So I'll have, what is this? This is like 20 some picks I have in the first 2 rounds across the next 2 rookie drafts. So entering next season, 2023, I plan on being a championship contender with this team. You have so much value, so much capital. We'll visit dynastyranker.com and I'll show you what I'm talking about in terms of total team value. Balls deep for Jimbo. See, Dynasty Ranker will put values on the picks. It's KTC values. I mean, obviously they're not gospel, but it's just a simple numerical, allotment for each draft pick. I have almost 100,000 KTC points worth of draft picks. Like that is as much as the next total team. This is including all his players and picks. I have that in just picks. 130K, like I have 35,000 more than this guy. All these other teams, they're really close together because they didn't trade that much, and they mostly tried to draft competitive upfront rosters, and I didn't do that. I'm punting year one with the idea that in year two I will have a clear and definitive advantage over the rest of the league, and I will have that. Um, the the real strength of this strat and the real way I got into this strat, honestly, and this is going to be a shout out to a guy who I know is watching the video, my dude Nick Bach, my boy right here, and specifically in this league, Fantasy Alcoholics, which is 2 years removed from our startup. My dude in this league sold his entire roster right after our startup completed, and he went into full tank mode. He went into full tank, and I love him for it. He got a gazillion picks, and now his team is insane. Jalen Hurts, Taylor, Akers, Ayuk, Andrews, Hawk, Eckler, Bateman, Murray. He's got Trey Lance, Tony Pollard. I think this is a very strong roster. He's got 2 top 5 picks here, but he punted hard for one season, acquired a crap ton of picks, took the 101, took the tank approach, and now from all the picks he had, all the waiver wire churning he's been doing, he's in position to dominate this league. I mean, we'll go back to Dynasty Ranker and we'll check Fantasy Alcoholics right here. Boop a doop. You'll see Nick Bach right there, number 2, 113K. Nomad's been making good moves too. I like what he's doing in this league. But number 1 RBs. Nick took all of this value that he had entering last offseason. Nick had like I'm showing you in my leagues, multiple 2021 first round picks. And he's been able to make some moves and put himself to where he was picking 101 to now he's the number 2 overall team in the league. I think he could very easily win it, not easily, but he could definitely win a championship here. And this really inspired me watching him do this, watching him sell players and punt for a whole season, and just accrue a massive cachet of draft picks. So I put my own spin on it, and I'm taking that same approach. And I've had some pretty decent success. So we're gonna look at what trades we made in the balls deep for Jimbo startup to get us to where we're at. So first of all, this is the very first one from my dude Snowman. Close out a ranker. Close, close, close. Boop-a-doop, we're right here. So we were picking in the 108 spot, and I traded my 108 and my 908 startup picks for his 311, his 511, and his 2023 first round pick. So the bread and butter of the strategy is to get 2-for-1s or 3-for-1s that also include 23 first round picks. And more specifically, the ideal trade to build around is if you want to move your first, if you're not picking up here in this elite tier, where you're down here in this secondary tier, you can get a third, a fifth, and a 23 first for your startup pick. Like that's what you want. This is exactly what you want right here. Is a third, a fifth, and a 23 first for your late first round pick. The way this works out in a calculator is this 108 is equivalent in value in terms of like we've all seen like the NFL uses like a pick value chart, how much each pick is worth. The third and the fifth are equal to the 108. That's like a straight up trade, 1-for-1. But we know how fantasy works, where the elite players are worth more because they really are going to dictate your success. The top 10 or so players just score so much more points than the next guys on the list that those are the ones that are really going to be championship players. So with this in mind, Snowman is willing to give me his 23 first to make what would be normally a pretty even 2-for-1 trade. Unfortunately, here I had to give him my 908 back, and the reason I did that is to just break the ice, is to just get a trade done. I really didn't want to give him this ninth. This is pretty even, I would say, if anything. Typically, you can get this trade for just a 3-for-1, where you just get a third, a fifth, and a first for just your one, and you don't have to send them a vet pick back. But when we were doing this, no one really wanted to trade with me. I was asking in chat a lot. I was sending out flyers. I was DMing people individually, and no one wanted to make a move. And I was committed to running this strategy. So I gave him the ninth. And like I said, I'm not losing this by any means. This is even. It's probably tilted in my favor, but I really wanted to add this 23 first, and I did. But when you break the ice, when Snowman moves up like he does here and makes 2 first-round picks, all of a sudden the other 10 people in your league, they see that he now has Najee and Lamar both. And if you're someone like Gatlin or Postal or Sporty or Sizzle, you're thinking, boy, I need to do something to keep up with these guys. If I just draft my column straight down the list, I'm not going to have enough to beat out someone who has Najee and Lamar on their team. I'm not going to have it. So I have to make a move. I have to move my future rookie picks in order to move up in the draft and get some juice to keep up with these boys. There's a snowballing effect. There's a mental effect to it. And this effect is actually doubled down by the fact that now I have an extra 23 first. So when you look at the lifetime of the league, the 2, 3, 4 years from now, again, if you're one of the other 10 teams in the league, you're going to say it's going to be tough for me to compete with Stash X or whoever is accumulating the futures because he's going to be so strong in the future. So my only real path to success is to either start tanking now or commit and try to go for it. And I'll tell you right now, most people, most average fantasy players are going to try to go for it. So you can see a real snowballing effect. And, that's what allows you to acquire multiple ones throughout the draft process. So this is a cool trade. I'm down for it. Yeah, we moved off Lamar, but we got a third and a fifth. I ended up moving the third and the fifth both in trades that we'll get to. But I think I made like 8 or 9 trades throughout the startup process. Moving down the list here. So the next trade I made, I moved off my 205 for the 410 and a 23 first. This is awesome. This is really juice. Anytime you can get this trade, totally take it. If you can be in the top 2 rounds and move a pick down like 30 slots, like 35 slots, 3 rounds, 2 rounds, 4 rounds, and get a 23 first just for making that slight tier down, this is a home run. I love this. We could look at the players that are assigned in those spots. So Boots took Justin Fields at 205, and I got the 410 in the trade. And it looks like I moved that in a different deal. But you could see, like, okay, that's J.K. Dobbins, or that's like T. Higgins, Devontae Adams, Diggs, Moore. Like, Fields to Moore, like, yeah, that's a tier down, but they're both really good players with good outlooks. And to add a 23 first just to transition off of one into the lesser is an absolute home run. I'm not giving him a pick straight up for his first, a 1-for-1. I'm not. I'm getting a 2-for-1. Okay, and 2-for-1s are great. I'm someone who's played a lot of card games in my life. Yu-Gi-Oh, Pokemon, Magic the Gathering, Hearthstone. Sure, some of you guys have played those, some not. But if you look at any card game or any strategy resource game, a 2-for-1 trade is what you're always looking for. You're always looking for a 2-for-1 because it just gives you more than your opponent, and that's what we love to see. So now we've made 2 trades. We haven't even drafted a player yet, and we're up to 3 total 2023 first round picks. But this is from the other side. This is Boots. This is Boots seeing what Snowman did, and saying, "Hey, I gotta get up there. I gotta get up there and get Justin Fields on my team because I want to be able to compete with them." We're gonna look at the next move here. So this is Emar. This is the 311 in this deal, not the 308. Sometimes Sleeper records the wrong pick number in the trade picks. I don't know why. It's really annoying. But so what we did here, so you can ignore the 9th. I'm sorry, the 19th and the 20. Those are just like noise. This is a 3-for-1 trade. I send the 308 startup. I get the 701, the 1101, and the 23 second. Eh, I might have lost this one. I didn't really like it that much. The big upside for me here is I'm getting a 2-for-1 on vet picks, and this is a draft where, like I said, kickers are rookies. So we're drafting the actual rookie selections within the vets. So this gives me an opportunity to buy more rookies up. I get this 23 second, 308. I mean, what was that? Who he went up there to go get? Derrick Henry. It looks like that's fine. I'm sorry, it's a 311. He went up to get Dalvin Cook. Okay, sure. Um, with the build I'm doing, I don't need Dalvin Cook. I mean, I probably should have sat. I probably should have sat and taken Lawrence. In hindsight, I would have done that. I would not have taken this trade because I'm not getting a first. I'm getting a 23 second. It's kind of bleh. Um, and I'd much rather have Lawrence on my team if I'm being perfectly honest. So this might be an L for me. I mean, we made a lot of trades, so I'm not going to sit here and say I won every single one of them. Emar might have gotten the better of me here, but even if I did lose this trade, I'm still getting a 2-for-1. I'm still banking a future pick. This is giving me everything I want. It just might not be as much of what I want. Now we'll go to the next one here. So this is Snowman again coming back to the table. This time he wants to give up his 23 second. We've already gotten Snowman's 23 first. I really like doing this, doubling down on the same guy who you already have some of his picks, going to get the rest of his picks. Because at this point, if Snowman's team goes to crap, if his quarterbacks and running backs get hurt, then I just have all that juice, all that fruit from his team failing. Again, we're getting a 2-for-1 so that we can get more rookie picks. We're banking this second. I mean, a 7-11, 11-11 for the 405. Again, probably even. Maybe I'm losing it. The calculator probably says it's even, but on face value, it might not be the best. What you really want to do when you're questioning it is just put names in there. So 7-11, 11-11, and 405. So look, 405 is Watson. Oh, it's the 410, not the 405. That's why. Lol. Sorry. It's the 410 for that package. So he went up to get Dobbins. He ended up trading the pick away again. Snowman was making a lot of moves, you can see. But so that's J.K. Dobbins, sure, or Adams in the 410 slot. Yep. And then we got the 7-11. Boop a doop a doop. That's a rookie pick. It looks like that ended up being the 104 rookie pick. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Actually, it's the 106 rookie pick. Yeah. So we get the 106 rookie pick. We get the 11-11s. Christian Kirk. Maybe I wanted Daniel Jones at Tony Pollard there. I don't know. But we're giving up J.K. Dobbins, but we also get the 23 second. So again, maybe I didn't win it. Maybe it wasn't so good for me, but I got a 2-for-1, and we're keeping the juice flowing. Gone Postal. So this is bread and butter like we got from Boots earlier. We're taking a 4-round slide. We're going down from the 308 to the 706, and we're getting a 23 first. Love it. Absolutely love this. This is what I'm looking for all day long, every day. This is the 4th 23 first I'm adding to my roster, and just absolutely in love with this kind of deal. Anytime you can take a 3 or 4 round dip and pick up a 23 first, absolutely do that. This should be what you're looking to do. This is what we're talking about, to acquire future ones. Um, Same thing here. It's literally the repeat. Like, look, I move my third and go to the seventh, get a first. I move my fifth, go to the ninth, and get a first. We're trading the 508 for a 23 first and the 905. 4-round slide, add a 23 first. This is Gatlin. This is my boy Gatlin in this league, wanting to compete. He's wanting to say, I'm sick of watching these other guys trade up. I want to compete too. And I'm not going to just go down without fighting. I'm not going to go down quietly. I'm going to move my one, and I'm going to go up there. And we're going to eat these fruits up. Poop-a-doop. We did it again here. This is later in the draft. This is Sizzle Chest moving his 23 first and a 10-11 for my 5-11. Love it. Again, we're not doing any 1-for-1s. We're getting a 2-for-1 every time. We're getting a 23 first or second round pick in the deal every time. This is great. This is pretty bad for him. This is probably the biggest win trade of all of them for me. Like, when you're talking about the 5-11, 10-11, like, honestly, he shouldn't be giving me a vet pick back in any way. A 23 first straight up is worth about a high 6th or late 5th. So this is sweet for me. I'm basically getting the 10th for free. And relative to the rookie picks, that's like 10, 11. I picked this is the 2.1. I remember Suck Up was a 2.1, so I'm getting the 2.1. So give me the 2.1 rookie in 2022 and the 2023 first round pick for who did he take at 5'11"? Sizzle. He took Mike Evans. Okay, so what would you rather have? A random 23 first and the 201 rookie this year, or Mike Evans? It's easy. It's the easy rookie picks. I mean, every time, even if you're competitive, it's probably the rookie picks. Boop-a-doop. And then this is the last one I wanted to touch on. My boy Gatlin coming back to the table. This time he's giving me his second. He's giving me his 23 second and his 1208 for my 1005. So we're taking a 2-round slide down and we're picking a 23 second up. I mean, the second might be worth this 10th round pick straight up, maybe. So getting another 2-for-1. Got like 5 or 6 2-for-1s here. We've added multiple firsts. We've added multiple seconds. Really just love where we're at with the balls deep for Jimbo. And again, we'll take another look at what that team looks like. Watson, I really like Vaughn this year. I think he's someone to target in that 20th round area of your deep startup. I mean, I don't like him this year particularly. I like him right now in draft season. He probably going to lose his what looks like a starting job. Tampa's probably going to draft someone or bring back one of the two guys. But best case scenario, Fournette and Jones don't return. They use a lower capital pick on a running back who Vaughn could outplay, and all of a sudden you have a starting running back. So go get you some Keyshawn Vaughn. Faux cheap. We didn't exclusively take rookies. We took some players too. I like Bateman at the value. Got the 708. Took him with the 708, excuse me. I mean, we'll see. This team's not competitive this year, so there's no pressure on Bateman to produce. Maybe in his third year he makes a little more noise. But it's not going to be anything special right now. But I like him. I like the player. I like the talent. The only bad part about Bateman is he landed on this Ravens team. I mean, this guy's very, very talented NFL wide receiver. And if Lamar, actually plays, he doesn't hold out or something with the whole contract situation. I don't think Lamar's going to hold out like I do Kyler. I think Lamar absolutely will play. It's just a question of him staying healthy. But Lamar's, he's doing more as a passer, and Bateman's doing more as a receiver. And I like Bateman. I do. We got Rondale Moore, 11th round. Again, second-year player. Just hoping for upside. The real core takeaways from this team are obviously all the rookies, but as far as vets, I mean, we still want to get 2 quarterbacks in there. I don't want to be, even if I'm tanking, I don't want to be with 1 QB. I want to have quarterbacks I think can grow. I got Zach Wilson at 701. He's safe-ish. I mean, it's gross. And that's the players we're working with when we're running the strategies, mostly gross players that still have upside, that are still young, they're still talented. This guy was the 2nd overall pick in the NFL draft. So you say what you want about him, but he's going to be the Jets starter in 2023. I mean, unless there is a catastrophic meltdown, he's going to retain most of his value, and he has lots of upside after that. He's got rushing upside, he's got a big arm. They're adding talent around him. I really like Saleh. I think Saleh's a legit coach for the Jets. We got Watson. I'm pretty sure Watson will be suspended for at least a chunk of the season coming up. But in 2023, again, when we're trying to work, we plan on being competitive in 23. Watson should be on his new team, should be through his suspension, and should be, what, 27 and a half years old, and primed to be Deshaun Watson again. So that's what we're looking for with him. And we got him in the 4th round, which is pretty juice. And then Muth. I think Muth is a cornerstone player that I took. I got him in a great spot. Um, Tight end premium league. I got Freiermuth at the 8.5. Love it. Love it. 6'5". I mean, nothing bad to say about him. Touchdown machine. I think it's all systems go for Freiermuth moving forward. If you need to trade for a tight end, go out and get this guy. I think he's a locked and loaded, at least low end tight end 1 for the foreseeable future, and that's regardless of what Pittsburgh does at quarterback. They could start Mason Rudolph for 16, 17 games, and I still think Freiermuth should return, top 12, top 15 fantasy tight end numbers. Freiermuth is a very talented football player. The Steelers like to use him, and yeah, get a taste. He's only 23 years old. It's great. Love it. All right, my video is approaching an hour long here. I was gonna go through another league, but I think I will save that for another video. I'm gonna cut it off here in a sec. 1 hour. I really appreciate you if you stayed with me the whole time. If you have any questions, just DM me on Sleeper Stash X. YouTube video comments, love it. If you have any trade questions, ask them. And just thank you so much for tuning in. Shout out to some of my dudes out there. Shout out to Nick Bach, Kevin Bach, T. Clark. Shout out to Lightly Chilled. Shout out to JCap, my boy JCap. Shout out to Joe Exotic. Shout out to my dude Velociraptor, the dude who is the man. This guy is the senpai. He taught me everything I know to devise a strat, and Philo is a beast. Shout out to Billings. Shout out to Roster Bader and Mello Nello, my dudes. Shout out to McNutted. Shout out to who else? My dude Dog, DOGG, the dog. Shout out to Jukes. I know Jukes is going to be listening to this video. I'm pretty sure he will. Shout out to Acres23, that 2-3. Yeah. Can't really think of any money more right now. So there'll be more content to come. Thanks for tuning in, and we're going to call it there. Appreciate it.